Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Peter Guzman joins us. He is president of the Latin Chamber of Commerce, Nevada, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are absolutely delighted to welcome to the studio the first time, because we've always done this via Zoom in the past. Peter Guzman is here. He's president of the Latin Chamber of Commerce of Nevada. Pleasure to have you here on the program, sir.
It's an honor to be here, and I'll tell you, you're much more handsome in person than you are on Zoom.
Oh, you are such a flatterer. Thank you. So let's start out with the economy and how you feel this is affecting what's going on in Las Vegas right now with the inflation that's roaring.
Well, certainly I'm hearing from my members now. It's a shame because things are getting good. They're getting better coming out of COVID, and especially Hispanic-owned businesses. I mean, these folks are real entrepreneurs. They know how to work through these things. But what is difficult is that no control on certain things. And so my landscapers, my pool guys that are hauling food to the casinos, things that require trucks and gas. Yeah, I'm starting to hear from them that this is really worrisome. Gas prices is really affecting, it's hitting them in the heart. It just is.
And we're going to see it affect eventually airline prices. They, of course, bank their ability to buy gas.
Well, the smart ones bank it. You're right.
Well, and
but
Southwest
that only lasts so much.
Well, and that's true. But I was in Las Vegas over the weekend, and that was the beginning of March Madness. And flying home yesterday, it was unbelievable. When we arrived in Las Vegas midweek, I had to wait for a half an hour to get a car because there were no cars. Coming back, the line was going through the airport, basically, through the rental area of cars coming back in. The airport was just packed. I mean, Las Vegas is booming right now.
It is booming, and I have these conversations with folks, but just imagine, it's booming even with the inflation going on. People are still trying to find a way to have a vacation and live their life. But imagine how much more money they would be spending on the economy, which would lead to creation of jobs if we didn't have to, have it hit us on the gas prices and food prices. I had a call from one of my members just recently who owns a bar. Chicken wings are through the roof for him to buy them. And so these things all have lasting effects. And And where it really hurts is instead of spending this money to create more jobs, because the business is there, people are thinking twice.
It's interesting that it has become a political battle. Well, I shouldn't say a surprise because everything becomes a political battle. But Democrats are attacking corporations for the inflation, saying that they're gouging, when in fact, it appears to me that it's really the reality of the marketplace. If you have a shortage, then the price of that commodity is going to go up.
It seems to me that every time we go through things like this, there's always a rush to put blame on something or somebody, right? Easy to go after the big corporations or the evil guy, right? I don't know about all that. Listen, my members aren't paying attention to that. They just know that the gas is higher, food costs are higher, they're recognizing all this, and somebody's going to pay a price for that. And I'm not quite sure they're going to walk around blaming corporations on that.
The number of projects in Southern Nevada continues to grow. And we're seeing more and more rooms being built, more and more things on the table. I was outside of Fashion Show Mall and looking at the what was the Alon site that is now owned by Wynn, and they are grading that land. It looks like, and they've not made any announcements to my knowledge, but it looks like they're working towards something there.
Well, as you know, empty land is not going to make you any money, so something's going to go there. Not quite sure what it is yet, but something's going to go there. I'm a little nervous about interest rates going up and things of that nature that may affect, getting money, easy access to money. However, we need that construction. Construction is the number one indicator of how your economy is going, especially in Las Vegas. I was there when folks weren't working, and that's why we fought so hard for Allegiant Stadium, because we know that putting guys back to work, these guys with good paying jobs, they buy trucks, houses, they spend the money in the economy. It's not rocket science.
And it was interesting. I was at a concert at T-Mobile, 30,000 people in there. Just up the street, you've got Allegiant Stadium, 65,000 plus, depending on the configuration. So if you had two events on the same night, just in those two venues, 95,000 people, that's astonishing.
And it happens all the time. We're seeing it. And what does that mean? That's dollars. Those are dollars running in our community, and we all benefit from that. It's just a shame that it has to go towards, higher gas prices, higher food costs, everything is going up. And so...
but don't you think part of the problem, though, has been that we have been so artificially low for so long that the idea of the Fed was to keep rates near zero because of all the crises that we were going through between the recession, the Great Recession, and then COVID, and that these interest rates were not normal.
Certainly, I agree with you that some of this was all manufactured, right? The economy was being held up.
And by multiple administrations.
I was going to say, that's been going on for a long time. So yes, there is some fluff there, and I understand the interest rates, and this will balance things out. However, it still comes at a tremendous cost. And what bothers me is that we could be more energy independent. I believe one thing that we've better be learning right now is that energy independence is a national security issue now. It's not just about the climate and environment. We get that. But we now have to look at energy independence as a national security issue so that we don't have to go out and try to buy, oil from Venezuela or Iran or any of the bad actors, as I call them. I'd like to call them worse, but the bad actors, right? It's up to our national security now to be energy independent.
It's been 50 years since the 70s. In 1972, we were looking at a gas crisis in this country. People were lined up at gas stations praying for gas to come. I knew one wealthy person put a gas pump in his driveway. And you would think we would have learned a lot since then. But maybe we're learning again now the lesson that we should have learned before. But there's an interesting balance. It's like the Keystone Pipeline. There's all this arguing over the Keystone Pipeline. That oil is coming down from Canada. It's just being moved by trucks. It's
Correct.
Just not in the pipeline. So it's kind of a specious argument, really. It's like
Correct. However, with that construction would have came jobs, and we could have saw some real benefit from that. So obviously I was for it. I'm for anything that's going to create good paying jobs, and now more than ever, help in the become energy independent.
All right, so you talk about jobs, and we talk about projects, and we've got all this infrastructure money pouring into the country, and we've got nobody to do the work. I mean, this is the craziest situation. So what is the answer to that? What do you hear?
Well, certainly that's an issue, right?
It's a pretty big issue when restaurants can only open 5 days a week because
that's right, and they're limiting their hours,
right?
And so we were hoping that out of COVID, once the science said it was safe to go back to work, we were hoping everybody would rush back to work. Not necessarily happening yet, but businesses are figuring it out. I mean, in the Hispanic community, for which I represent, it just means more family members going into work, more hours that they have to work, but they're figuring it out. The Hispanic business community is doing very, very well.
And in Las Vegas, and Reno as well, you have a shining star, and I talk about him all the time on this program because I'm a huge fan of Alex Morello and what he's doing at the Sahara in Las Vegas and what he's doing up here with the Grand Sierra. And his ability through his media holdings, TV and radio stations in Los Angeles, to be able to bring these major Hispanic acts. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about Mexican groups, but I mean, you're talking about all across Central America. These acts are coming in, and they are selling out. Bad Bunny doing huge business at Allegiant
No question.
Stadium.
Alex has made a major investment in this state, and we should all be very, very grateful for that. He's bringing in a whole new set of demographic. These are people with money that spend money, and we're the beneficiary of it.
Don't you think it's kind of funny that the last group that really took a stab at the Hispanic community in a major way, an obvious way, was MGM years ago down in Jean. They took those couple of casinos down there, and that was where they were bringing in Mexican groups, but not in a very big way. This is a huge market, and why do people still have blinders on about this?
Yeah, and you need to do more than, it's going to take more than just bringing some band in from small place in Mexico, right? And it's going to take more than a few taco trucks outside. That Hispanics are way above that now, and they want entertainment just like everybody else does, and you gotta do it big. But when you do it big, look what happens. Look at the return of investment. Alex will tell you he's getting his return of investment.
Yes, I had a long conversation with him, and yes, he is certainly getting a return on investment, which is why he continues to invest more. But I think that the picture is even bigger for the Hispanic market, and it's really been bizarre to me because I've been looking at this for the last 30 years, is why a lot of the Anglo community, not all, but a lot of the Anglo community has blinders on to the fact that if you live in the west or southwest of the United States, that if you're ignoring or not dealing respectfully with the Hispanic community, you are missing out on a huge amount of money.
Well, let's face it, you're missing out on almost $2 trillion.
$2 trillion.
$2 trillion. Anybody who's ignoring it, and I mean anybody, that's from average everyday people to elected officials. If you're not paying attention to what's happening, you're going to get left behind. It doesn't even make business sense. $2 trillion. And Hispanic, and by the way, Hispanic entrepreneurship is something that's very valuable to this country. These are folks that strategize long term. The goal of a Hispanic entrepreneur is to be able to leave the business to the family. So their strategy is always long term, which is great for our communities. It's a long-term investment. And so blinders to that is ridiculous.
Well, and that makes a huge difference between the way that most U.S. corporations look at things, which is quarter by quarter, which is absurd. It always has been absurd.
Correct. And I'm glad you get that, Sam. That is absolutely an important point. The long-term strategy, the long-term commitment to communities that they grow into and they bring their families to, that's exactly what we want.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be back with Peter Guzman after this timeout.
Before the masks, before the distancing, before the world changed, UMC was ready. Our response to COVID-19 began before the crisis did, with our own team of infectious disease experts who've spent their careers planning for this moment. With a pandemic response plan, we'd practiced again and again, and by blazing new trails in large-scale testing, including every patient we admit. Always ready. UMC.
Can't do it. Stupid, like my mom. We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you.
I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low, and our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way, because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Peter Guzman. He is the president of the Latin Chamber of Commerce of Nevada. Let's talk about politics here. How do you see the election shaping up in Nevada?
Well, listen, you know, it's primary time, so I'm a big boy. I understand that in primaries, people, you know, they push a little more one way or the other. But I'm certainly paying attention to how far they're going to push when it comes to immigration, immigrants, you know, the people that keep this state and this country open for business. You know, I think that people need to be paying attention to what's going on because there's been some elections now. You saw one in Virginia. You saw an election in Texas. Absolutely Latinas, that Latina group is paying attention. They're pissed off. Soccer moms, very angry. I'm meeting with them at the chamber. They're not going to hand their vote over just to anybody this time around. They're paying attention.
You know, to me, and I of course I could be 100% wrong, and I frequently am, but it seems to me that education and what kids have been forced to go through the last couple of years is going to play a huge role in this election cycle.
Well, Sam, there's absolutely no question about that. These moms are very upset. They feel like they've, you know, handed over their votes a certain direction and they haven't gotten a rate of return on that, and their kids are suffering because of it. So I'm telling you that they're paying attention now, and they're gonna decide elections. They're angry at their education, and they want an environment for their families to succeed in business. These are entrepreneurs. They leave countries that are chaotic and come here to open businesses. Okay, and so I think people need to embrace that, and certainly people running for office better embrace it.
Do you think that a lot of Americans who are born here don't realize the opportunities that this country truly holds? That they miss out on that? Because, you know, I came from England at age 21, and to me, America has been this unbelievable land of opportunity. I could never have done what I've done in this country back in England. And I just look at other immigrants and I see exactly the same thing.
Listen, you know, my father came from Cuba. He crossed an ocean to simply have his kids in this country. So I'm not going to talk poorly about the person that was born in this country and maybe isn't as grateful.
No, I'm not speaking poorly. I'm just saying missed opportunity.
All I can speak is about my life experience. Yeah. And I grew up in a home where my father brought out the American flag. He reminded us he was from Cuba, but he also reminded us every day that we were in America. He became American, and that's in our blood. And so we love this country. And immigrants that come here, that go through incredible journeys to get here, they love it too. And they come here and they can't believe the opportunity. With a little bit of nudging and a little bit of guidance, which is what we do at the Latin Chamber of Commerce, they do very well. Hispanic businesses are booming in Nevada, everywhere, all over the state. And part of that is because They understand the fundamentals of business. They know how to pivot because they come from countries where you're constantly pivoting.
Right.
They understand work ethic because they come from countries where you work really hard but don't get your due. You don't get what you deserve, but you do in America. If you work hard, you usually can do pretty well. And they get it, and that's why they're such an important part of the economy here. And let me tell you, some statistics came out recently. I wasn't positive how much Hispanics were getting into the tech industry, but it's absolutely booming. Like 19% of all new tech businesses, Hispanics are involved in it.
All right, well, let's be honest here and say, for people that don't realize it, there is no difference between Hispanics and Anglos. Everybody needs and wants the same things. Everybody is looking at the same opportunities, and they are making choices of what directions they would go in. It is no surprise to me to find anybody in anything.
That's right. There are a few cultural differences. Obviously, their journey is different. How they got here is a little different, and sometimes that life experience will make you love and appreciate that American flag a little bit more. It just happens. I'm around immigrants. These folks love America. So obviously, life experience will have something to do with the journey.
Yes, but once you've made the journey,
You're right.
Then the road is open. Let's take another break. We'll come right back.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
One of the most psychologically damaging things parents can do to children in divorce
is disparage one another, which is why I can't believe I even have to make this commercial. Half of your kids' genetics come from this person you're spewing hate about. Your children have the right to love you both, but more than that, they deserve to love themselves.
Marilyn York might be a men's rights divorce attorney, but this is for every selfish parent. Shut up!
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. And a lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Peter Guzman. He is president of the Latin Chamber of Commerce, Nevada. So you are in constant contact with our federal delegation. What are you hearing, if anything, about the chance for immigration reform of any kind at this point?
Well, you know, it's a little bit disappointing, right? Everybody keeps kicking the can down the road, and we can't do that anymore. My message, and I'll be in D.C. here shortly, pushing that message is, you know, we're creating more racism by allowing this stuff to be a campaign strategy. And I'm going to call it how I see it. Both parties use immigrants and immigration as campaign strategy, and it's no longer acceptable. It's creating more racism and creating real dangers for folks. I mean, we get hate mail. It's all built on lies and mistruths. It's time to come clean. Don't try to put comprehensive immigration reform in a $5 trillion bill and bury it in there. That's not acceptable. To me, comprehensive immigration reform can stand alone. Put it for vote. Let's see which elected officials vote yes or no. Let's see it. Let's see who's real about it. And let's get on with it. We can't let it fester.
I don't want us to run out of time. We've got a couple of minutes left here. So my thought is this, that the problem is comprehensive. And not that I wouldn't want to see comprehensive immigration reform, but it seems that that's always the battle. Wouldn't it be better at this point in time, after having struggled with this since 1986, to say, let's do this and do an up and down vote on that? You know, if you want to raise gas taxes for RTC in Las Vegas or Washoe County, you put it on the ballot and say, this is what the bill is, this is where the money's going to go, and people vote for it. Wouldn't that work if you did pieces of immigration rather than trying to do it all?
And Sam, I am okay with that, as long as they're big pieces. This is the United States of America, for God's sakes. When we need $900 million or $14 billion for this, that, and that, we always seem to come up with it. We should think about immigration in a way where we can do this. We're talking about people's lives here. We're talking about people who keep America open, who create jobs, who pay taxes. Let's treat them with some dignity. Let's have a dignified immigration system. So if we have to take out the comprehensive part, although, you know, the senator from Arizona had comprehensive immigration reform. It seemed to be okay then. I don't understand why it's no good anymore.
Well, because it's such a political bonfire. Somebody can throw a bomb in at any point, you know, especially in the Senate. And, you know, if anybody wants to go back and review immigration reform history, going back to the late 1970s when Jimmy Carter was trying to do it in 77, and eventually Reagan got it done in 86, it was torturous. But, you know, that's
But it took courage, and Reagan got something done. So we need courage. We need some courageous elected officials. And by the way, again, Hispanic community's paying attention. Latinas, soccer moms are truly paying attention. You're talking about their kids, their abuelitas, abuelitos, grandma, grandpa. This is a family issue as well. They're paying attention.
You are always welcome here, sir. Come back soon.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll be right back.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at NevadaNewsmakers.com. You can also check our archive going back to 2005 on our website. Again, NevadaNewsmakers.com. We'll see you on the next show.